Hi there, Scott Hamilton, ROCKFILE. Welcome back to my podcast. This is going to be a different kind of podcast for me. I've tried to start this several times this week, but it always got out of hand. So this is going to be a multi-part podcast for anybody interested in medical marijuana in the state of Florida. I start by saying that I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert. This is all about my experience, what happened to me, how it happened, how it goes, and now almost 3 months into it, I can give you some details. But your results may differ. This is not going to be a Cheech and Chong or a Harold and Kumar type podcast. This is going to be a guide. I mean, all right, maybe I'll be funny, but when I started this idea, and I am someone who does have a history with cannabis. I've never been a heavy drinker. I've never been one to use a lot of drugs. But cannabis is something that I always returned to in my life because it was something I could use and continue with my life without it impeding anything, hangovers, not showing up for work, that kind of thing. And I always really enjoyed it. But anyway, I was clean and sober for almost a year when I decided that since it was legal in the state of Florida and I had some things I wanted to address to get off of pharmaceutical grade medicines, that I wanted to try this. And I have a lot of friends that had cards already. So because I had a friend of a friend who left his normal doctor practice to become a medical marijuana doctor, I had an easy in. So this is how it happened, if that makes any sense. This is not your cup of tea. It's not my typical podcast. But again, when I got started, I wish there had been a podcast like this. There are several quick start guides online. The doctor was very helpful. But I'm going to get into some things that I didn't know to ask the doctor, or I wasn't aware of, so I couldn't ask, or that kind of thing. Now, first of all, marijuana is now divided up into multiple different ways to imbibe this medicine. It's not just rolling the joint that you saw at that concert a long time ago when you were a teenager. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So once you make the decision that you want to try this, you need to have a pre-existing condition. That is the easiest way to get your medical marijuana license. It is easiest for a medical marijuana doctor to prescribe marijuana to you if you have a pre-existing condition. Now, the state of Florida has a list of pre-existing conditions that will automatically get you approved, but most of them are quite painful and a lot of them are terminal. But right under that, in parentheses, here is a list of other things that cannabis has been prescribed for, and that list is quite long. And for me personally, it was things like high blood pressure, anxiety, sleeplessness. Those are all on the list of pre-existing conditions. And if you've been treated for one of those, like I take 1 pill a day actually, long story short, I was taking 2 pills a day before this for high blood pressure, and now that I've started this, I'm down to 1. That's a whole nother thing. But anyway, so since I had pre-existing conditions and since I knew a doctor, I made an appointment and they gave me a nice deal on the consulting fee, which is why these doctors do this. I was told by a doctor who left the practice to change practices that this is, he doesn't get called to the hospital. There's no life-saving needs. He prescribes things that help people. It's a natural substance and he can sleep better at night. I don't think that's such a bad thing. So I made an appointment and I went to see the doctor. Young doctor, very knowledgeable. And again, I am a rock and roll disc jockey and have been for over 30 years. I have been around cannabis and other drugs my entire career, whether I was doing them or not. I've been around them in the culture and et cetera. It's part of rock and roll, as they say. And I sat down with a doctor who knew more about it than I did. If that tells you anything. So he kept asking me, do you have any questions? And I'm like, well, yeah, because he hands you this sheet. And I will get into the specifics in other podcasts, but if you know anything about marijuana, medical or otherwise, there's basically sativa and indica. That's the old phrases for 2 different types of plants that there are. Indica tends to be more of a full body and a nighttime use kind of thing, and sativa is more of a brain and daytime kind of thing. And we're finding now with different strains as they do hybrids and stuff that that's not 100% true all the time, but for the most part you want to keep your sativas during the day and your indicas at night but everybody's body chemistry is different. I have a friend who doesn't like sativa but he likes indica and can do that all day, so there you go. But you go even farther into strains and stuff, and I'll touch on that shortly and do an entire separate podcast on strains, because this has been a huge rabbit hole to go down, actually. So, like I said, young doctor, very knowledgeable, more knowledgeable than me. He hands me this list, and he lists 3 strains of sativas and basically recommends those for daytime. 3 strains of indica. He recommends those for nighttime. If you're going to vape instead of inhale, instead of burning, instead of burning the flower like a joint or a bong or a pipe or whatever, if you're going to use vape cartridges, he prefers the CO2 extracted cartridges because it maintains more of the terpenes. Terpenes are the things that give marijuana the smell. They're things that are found in lots of foods, actually. And terpenes also, when they combine with the THC and the CBD, they have a cumulative effect. And so if you're trying to treat something specifically like high blood pressure or sleeplessness or anxiety, etc., you can find certain terpenes that specifically target those symptoms, and then find the strains that contain those terpenes, and you have a specific medicine for what you need. And that was the biggest eye-opening experience of all this. When I was talking to the doctor, he said, when you go to a dispensary, it's going to be like a kid in a candy store, but not on the fun aspect, just that you can finally sit down and talk to someone like an adult without snickering, without being Cheech and Chong and Harold and Kumar, and you can have a discussion about these things and find out that there is much more to this can of worms than you thought. So, at the end of my session, he says, yes, not to mention the fact that you're already aware of the side effects and you've used it before. Definitely we can treat your different pre-existing conditions with this. Here is your card. Well, he doesn't give you a card. He fills out a thing on a federal website or the state website. And then you finish it up. You pay the doctor. And at the end, he and the nurse sat down with me and helped me fill out the rest of it so I could pay the $75 to the state to get my card. That's what it costs in the state of Florida to get a card, is $75. So, did all that, paid my fees, went home. Said I'll get the email from the state within a week or two, and then 2 weeks after that, I should get my hard card, which looks like a driver's license. And it really does. And that was exactly how it happened. 2 weeks from the day that I paid my fee, I got my email saying you can take this email and you can go visit dispensaries. Now, what was interesting about this is this was the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. The lockdown was starting to begin when I began this. So it wasn't like I had my typical dispensary experience, except for close to the first one. He recommended a couple, including True Leave and Rise. And I picked Rise because it was less crowded. And he gave me a coupon for it. All of the dispensaries have a first-time patient discount. Some are 25%, some are $25, some are $55 off $100, some are as much as $75 off $150 to help pay for your medical marijuana card that you paid $75 for. So needless to say, you can get some great deals when you start this treatment program. And so I chose Rise, and how it works now, I can't comment on how it worked before all of this, is you basically place an order on the website and then you go pick it up. But that was just starting to begin. So I went to the dispensary and actually placed my order with a person who was in a little tent outside of the dispensary. Then they guided you into the dispensary to complete your order, and you got to leave. And it was great. I mean, you got to talk to somebody. They explained to you, just like your pharmacist, you want to use this, then you don't want to drive for this, you don't want to do this, you want to do this. It was very interesting and enlightening. Plus, the inside of the dispensary is pretty cool. So I tried Rise, and again, when the doctor listed the different strains for daytime and nighttime, I asked, will these names be the same? Like an indica he recommends for sleeplessness is called 9-Pound Hammer. It's a good name for an indica that would be good for sleep, right? And he said, no, the strains will not be the same across all. And that's why you need to use apps like Weed Maps and Leafly. Leafly.com has been a great place to look up strains, to find out what is actually in this particular strain. And the whole reason I wanted to get my medical marijuana license, A, is to be legal, but B, is because I did want to treat these things. I have known in my life that sleeplessness, for me, better than taking an Ambien is to smoke a little and go to bed. That's always worked for me. And last year, I had a friend send me some cartridges from some vape cartridges from Colorado that had THC in them, so I tried it. This was before I gave everything up for about a year. And I bought a little battery, and I have the cartridges, and I tried the vaping, and I like it. It's an easy way to take a couple of puffs and get the same thing as if you went outside and smoked a bowl, but it took a couple of puffs. It's pretty amazing. My doctor prefers flower, which is what they call the bud, what you smoke, to vape cartridges, but he likes vape cartridges. The average bud flower that you buy these days is about 15 to 30% THC. Vape cartridges are 70 to 90% THC, if that tells you. You don't need as much to get where you're going to treat what you're treating kind of thing. And I'd like, again, the ease of and use of it, and the lack of smell, and the lack of the pomp and circumstance. Because if you've ever smoked this medicine, there's a lot of, the rolling papers and the clips and the bongs and the water and the grinding and there's a lot involved in the little ritual of using this medicine. But the vape cartridges made it very easy. So again, using the series of instructions that he gave me about getting CO2 extracted vape cartridges instead of just the plain vape cartridges, turns out a lot of the cartridges at the dispensaries down here are CO2 extracted. The ones that aren't are much cheaper, so you can kind of tell that way too. But they have now divided medical marijuana into more things than that. There are oils and concentrates, like not just the vape cartridges, but oils and tinctures. You could put a couple drops in your coffee and get your THC that way. You can put it under your tongue. They have, ointments you can rub on, topical versions of THC. They have capsules you can take. Edibles are not legal in the state of Florida. So there's no foods, no candies, things like that. But you buy the tinctures and some of the concentrates and the oils, and you can add them to foods. And then there are the high-level THC concentrates known as shatter, crumble, wax, things like that. And that is basically the same thing as in the vape cartridges. It was pulled from the resin a little bit in a different way, but you're basically still getting all of the benefits of the THC and all the terpenes that are specific to the strain. And again, remember, the terpenes are what drive some of the benefits of each one of these strains. They might specifically target your sleeplessness, your anxiety, or whatever. And what I found is I was looking for something good for daytime, especially on weekends, where I could still... a sativa doesn't give you that lethargic feeling. You'll get up and wash the car. You'll get up and walk the dogs. Where an indica at night, you don't want to get off the couch. And that's why some of those are called glue or couch lock and things like that. So there is a big difference between the strains and what they can do for you. And that is where your assistant at the dispensaries come in. And what I have found during this pandemic, since I couldn't go into a dispensary and have a conversation, is just call them on the phone. So... Rise, like I said, was my first experience. I was green. I was a novice. Nobody had ever taken me to a dispensary before, and I really liked the process. And I came home and tried the medicines, and I really liked them. Since you get such a massive discount, I got basically 4 things for the price of less than 2. I tried a couple vape cartridges, a good daytime sativa, a good nighttime indica, and then I got some flower because I had never bought, medical grade flour, and using the discount, it was very reasonable. Flour is quite expensive, actually. It is just as expensive as buying it from the guy that you used to buy on the street corner, or, down the street or whatever. But the funny thing about all these dispensaries is all the sales they have and all the membership programs. Sign up to be a member, you earn points on every purchase. The point gets you 10% off, or every so many points equals $1. Or, I've already ranked up $16 at one dispensary and 300 points at another dispensary, going on days where they do double points or sale days or, buy 2, get 1 free sales and things like that. So it's funny, when you're buying this medicine, you don't always have to buy the $50 eighth. You can find deals. You can find True Leaf has specific deals. VitaCan has specific deals. Liberty Health Services has specific deals. So there are it turns out there are quite a few dispensaries in South Florida. And once you have your email card, you can go to any of them. And there is a site called Jane.com that connects a lot of these dispensaries. Also Leafly and Weed Maps. All of these dispensaries, most of them anyway, are all connected. You can find out who has what strains and where. So I have been trying for the last 3 months using my first-time patient discounts. And this month I have birthday discounts I can use, which are 15%, $15 off 50, things like that. And then catching sales and things. And So I've created a little stock of one of each little things that I've wanted to try, whether it be a vape capsule, flower, or I did pick up some shatter, and I didn't really explain too much about what that was. That will be a separate podcast, but shatter crumble wax is like a resin. It's like a waxy substance that you put in a vape pipe or pen that vapes at a higher temperature than like the oils that you would normally vape to, and it but you also get enough THC that it's like smoking a whole joint or a whole bowl in one hit. And people like shatter, crumble, and wax because they get the medicine that much quicker. It's very quick, it's very powerful, and it's very instantaneous. For me, it's been something I've done at night. But I wanted to try it because I had never heard of such a thing. This was all a whole new world. And I'm not one who likes smoking. My father died of lung cancer, and over the years, I've to not smoke. I've used bongs or a dugout with a one-hitter. I've gotten away from paper and carcinogens as much as possible, but I wanted to get into this whole vape technology and see if that was any better to deliver this medicine, and I found that it's just as good. It works just as well. So anyway, I have tried several of the dispensaries now. Rise was the first one and True Leave was the second one. True Leave is the biggest. They have the most dispensaries in the area, and they're one of the largest in the state of Florida. They have some great deals, and the first two times I went to them, the wait was extremely long to do a pickup. I ordered what I wanted off the website, and I had to wait 1 to 2 hours in the parking lot before they called me in. But then talking to them, you find out they had 70 orders in front of you. And it's because of the virus thing that they can't just line you up in front of the store for one thing. And the fact that they can only have so many people in the store at any given time, I think 3. So if you've got 70 people in front of you and there's 3 people in at a time, and each one may take a different amount of time. Some just pick up their order and pay for it and leave. Others ask questions, and sit there for a few minutes. So I didn't complain, but I planned for it the second time I went. I've gone to True Leave since, and I had about a 10-minute wait. So they have improved their system much better. You can check in on their app. You can check in on their website when you get to the dispensary. That already puts you on the list. Then you go in and you hand them your card. 2 weeks after you get the email card, you will get a hard driver's license card. And it's got your picture on it. Actually, it's the same thing as your driver's license. And it has your number, your doctor, your pertinent information, and can be used as a state ID, actually. So True Leave has been the only place to put yourself in line. You actually hand them your card, and when they call you from your card. They hand your card to the person dispensing your medicine, and then he hands you your card back right before you pay and get your order. All the other places just verify your ID or your card. That's the only thing that's been different about True Leave. What I like about True Leave is the quality of products has been incredible. They are very reasonably priced. They do some incredible specials, and they have a great staff. The only negative I ever had about True Leave was the wait. With Rise, I also like them. The quality of the products is excellent. They're a little pricier. Vape cartridges come in 0.5 gram and a whole gram. 0.5 gram, depending on how much you vape, could last you a week to 2 weeks. A whole gram could last you up to a month if you don't vape very much. I mean, there's a lot in there. And the 0.5 grams usually are $40 to $60 at most places. Well, $35 to $60 at most places. Rise is $60. But if you buy the full gram, you can get it for $100. So that's 2 0.5 grams for $50, if that makes any sense. They have good products. The prices are a little high. Their service is incredibly quick. The couple times I've been there, I've been in and out. Knowledgeable, nice people. Really liked it. Some good discounts. Other places I have tried. Curaleaf. That is one of my number one. I love the team at the Deerfield Curaleaf. I like the fact, like Rise, they give you a free battery with the first vape card purchase. That saves you $10 to $15 right there. You can use these batteries with any of the cartridges from any of the dispensaries. So a battery is a good thing to get for free because you'll use it a lot. They're rechargeable. Some of them, what I like about the Curaleaf one is it has multiple voltages. You want a little more smoke, you can dial it up. You want it a little smoother, a little less smoke, you can dial it down. It's pretty cool. Curaleaf has great products. They've got great sales. They've got great prices. I have zero complaints about Curaleaf so far. There were a couple of hardware things I wanted to get. I wanted to get a dry herb vaporizer. You're not supposed to be able to use too many discounts on that, but they let me use a hell of a lot of discounts. And because their logo was on the vaporizer, it already cut $70 off the price. I got a $170 vaporizer for about $30 using all my discounts and stuff and their discount, which was pretty cool. They've been very easy to work with. I talked to them on the phone to place that order because you couldn't do it on the website. Very easy to work with. Zero complaints about Curaleaf. They will be a regular. VitaCann, also great. Really liked the service. It was quick. I like the stuff I've gotten from them the 2 times I've been there. I've been trying vape cartridges. I haven't tried any flower. Actually, no, I haven't tried any flower from them yet, but the vape cartridges were great. Liberty Health Services, really fast, really nice people, great deals. They are probably some of the lowest price stuff. Papa's Herb is a local Florida grower who provides some of the herbs at Liberty Health Services. Their flower and their vape cartridges, both good and incredibly reasonably priced. The vape cartridges are $35. And if you're getting a deal, like the first time patient discount, or they do a lot of happy hour 15% off discounts. VitaCann does too. Some days are double points for these guys. If you play the game right, just like going to Best Buy or anybody else that uses a reward program, you shop on the days that they use double points and you get more value for your buck, if that makes any sense. There's about 3 other dispensaries in the area I haven't tried: Suterra, Move, and another one, Grow Healthy. Every time I check Grow Healthy, they don't have anything. They have like 2 flowers and that's it. And all these other places, you can get tinctures and oils and concentrates and vaporizers and accessories. And, so I don't know what's going on with Grow Healthy. Maybe they're just restocking. So we're already 22 minutes into this podcast, and I'm only scratching the surface of medical marijuana. But let's kind of sum this up, and I'll move on to a part 2 podcast. If you are interested, and I will say this from personal experience, medical marijuana is as close to harmless as any drug I've ever taken. Any over-the-counter meds, any prescription meds have always had side effects that are worse than anything I've had on marijuana. That's just fact. And I've got 3 to almost 4 decades of use with this stuff. Never had any problems. The worst thing that's ever happened to me is I fall asleep early. There you go. Never had a car accident. Never been arrested. Never gotten in trouble. There you go. So to sum this all up, if you have a pre-existing condition, and like I said, go on a Florida state government website and look up medical marijuana and look at the pre-existing conditions. And once you get past the first 5 or 6 or 8, then look at the rest of them, and that's what the normal people have. I'm sure that you are probably taking something for insomnia, anxiety, high blood pressure, whatever. They can try some of these medical marijuana strains to help you. I was able to stop taking one of my blood pressure medicines. I am no longer taking anything to sleep. I am no longer taking anything to calm my stomach. I am no longer taking anything but 1 blood pressure pill a day and some medical cannabis, most of the time a couple of puffs out of a vape pen. I don't know how many pills you take, how many headaches you get, that kind of stuff, but I'm telling you, I'm living a healthier, happy life. And again, using the deals and the vape cartridges and things like that, it's much cheaper than it used to be when I was doing things quote unquote illegally. It gets my highest recommendation for an all-natural medicine that you can try. It may not work for everybody. I know people who do not like it, and I don't have a problem with them drinking or taking prescription meds. They shouldn't have a problem with this because it's legal. Eventually, everywhere will be recreational legal, and I think that's cool. I have some friends that work at dispensaries in other states, and I see the opportunities for recreational stuff open up quite a bit. But I'm talking about this from a medical standpoint, and the fact that this is helping me with things like high blood pressure, sleeplessness, and anxiety, and cost very little. I can go get what I want. If something I didn't like the taste of it, I can take it back. If it didn't work as well, I can get something else. It is a very interesting and new way of doing medicine, something kind of healthy, kind of holistic, if you will, because it comes out of the ground and it's not being processed by anything but like The cartridges, they're basically stripping everything out that's bad and just giving you the medicine out of the THC, out of the plant. It's an incredible industry. I'm doing more and more research every day. Self-medicating is something I tried many, many years ago. When I lived in Alabama, I had some serious sinus problems. That between my cats and some flowers in Alabama, I, for years, had bad sinus problems. And I was buying, the Tylenol cold and sinus, the Advil sinus or whatever. And then you start reading the package. And then you realize that you could buy the generic ingredients for half or less the cost of what Advil and Tylenol are charging to put all the ingredients in one pill. And then if I didn't need an antihistamine, I could take that out. So in my medicine cabinet, as a young adult, I had a generic pain reliever, usually an ibuprofen, a generic decongestant, and a generic antihistamine, and buying all three of those was cheaper than buying one bottle of a Tylenol sinus or a Advil sinus. So being able to pick and choose the specific drugs I needed to target the sinus problems I was having on a daily basis, that was just something I got in the habit of. And so now with medical marijuana, it's even further. If I specifically am trying, say anxiety, I have one of those brains that likes to stay busy and multitask. I like to have a bunch of things going on at one time and juggling all that and stay busy. And then I don't like to be distracted, if that makes any sense. I know what level I can function at. And when I get distracted by anxieties of things that I can't really change, like worrying about a bill I'm not going to be able to pay till next week, or worrying about something that's out of my control, the weather or whatever, those are type of anxieties that I don't need in my head when I'm trying to concentrate and get 10 other things done. So finding a strain that would help me with that, but not give me that I need a cheese pizza, buzz, but something that I can work and not be distracted and concentrate and focus, has been incredibly helpful. Like I said, this will be a multi-part. The first one of these I was talking like this, and it was almost an hour long, and I thought that was a bit long for one podcast. So this was your basic introduction. Have a pre-existing condition, contact a medical marijuana doctor, let them help you, let them tell you what to get your card, start visiting dispensaries and talking to the experts. Once you start down this road, you can specifically target what you're trying to help yourself with. You are in control of your health, and it's an amazing thing to be in control. To go to a doctor and say, I'm going to prescribe you this, this, and this, like 2 years ago when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, I'm going to prescribe this and this. I had no idea what he was prescribing, and I started taking them. Turns out I was having some pretty serious side effects to one of them to just keep my blood pressure correct. I adjusted my diet. I gave up sodas and did a few other things. Still was having to take 2 pills a day. Started with medical marijuana, down to 1 pill a day. I take my blood pressure every night. I'm about 110/70. That's like beyond normal on one teeny tiny blood pressure pill. And that is the only non-health, non-natural substance I put my body on a daily basis. I make my own tea with all natural sugar. I try not to eat too many processed foods. So I'm trying to lead a better life. As you get older, that becomes important as your metabolism slows down and stuff. And I just thought that it would be interesting to try and experiment with medical marijuana to see if it could help. And I had no idea. I have friends who'd had cards in other states. I've looked it up, but it's always been one of those things. Yeah, right. One day. And when you finally pull the trigger and you finally start doing the research and you finally walk into a dispensary and you finally go on their website and you go, this is for this and this is for this, it's amazing, and everybody wants to help you, and everybody is very friendly and helpful. Literally, the only negative experience I've had has been the True Leave wait, and they seem to have rectified that as well. All of the dispensaries I go to are in the Deerfield, Boca Raton area. I have not been to any others yet in the area. There hasn't been a need. Plus, I don't want to spend too much money on this, to be completely honest with you. And I haven't had to with all of the amazing discounts and all of the help they have been. So that is your prelude into medical marijuana. In my upcoming podcast, I will get into different types of strains. I will get into the different ways you can administer marijuana, and we will get into details about that. But these will not be the focus of all of my podcasts. I will still do movie and music reviews and some other things. And I'm moving to YouTube very, very soon, by the way. It'll happen this summer. So I wanted to start you off here. If these are not things you're interested in listening to, then just bypass those and check out the other podcasts. I'm not going to throw this in anybody's face who's not interested, but I have some stories to share. It's been a great help for me. I wanted to let you know all about it. That's what I'm here for. And honestly, it's the same thing about the music and the movies. I want to share with you movies I've enjoyed. You may not like them, but I'll tell you why I like them and why you should give them a shot. If you don't like them, well, that's what life's all about. Finding the things you like and not paying attention to things you don't like. It's why on my social media pages you don't see me hating on things, because honestly, there's too many things I like. I don't have time to hate this movie that I watched last night. It was just okay, so I don't talk about it. I'm talking about something I like about today. Bingo. Talk about the things you like, share the things you love. The world is a happier place. I'm Scott Hamilton. I'm ROCKFILE. My website is therockfile.com. Please subscribe to the podcast. Check out the Patreon page, because I'm going to be ramping up some one-on-one and personal stuff in there that you can access for as little as $1 to $5 a month. And like I said, in the move to YouTube, that Patreon thing is going to be very, very important. So please get signed up if you have any interests. More podcasts coming up very soon. Please stay safe out there, and thank you for listening.